Hello, welcome back to the Crafty Organizer. I'm Noreen Burke, and today we're talking about my she shed. So I had been wanting a she shed for a long time, and I had a family member who had one. They weren't using it, so they let me take it, and I was over the moon excited. Except I'd been wanting a she shed and I didn't really know what I wanted to do with it. I had just seen so many cute ideas online and thought, oh my gosh, if I had a she shed, I would do, and I went through the list of things I would want to do. So the very first thing I did after assembling it was I decided to create a little sitting area for me. Now, if you've ever watched any of my outdoor videos before, you know I already have some outdoor seating areas. Hopefully this still works. My new sweet puppy decided she wanted to play at this exact moment, so I had to open up my garage door. Anyway, here's a look at the she shed I got. It's a 4-foot by 8-foot sun cast, and it was in perfect condition. It had some water stains on it that I couldn't get off, but honestly, it doesn't impact it at all. So here's what I created. I decided to put in this sweet little spot with a chair, a spot for the puppy, a little DIY that I'd done not too long ago, and hang some coffee cups on it with some flowers. It's super cute. I was so happy and tickled when I was done, but the reality is I don't need another sitting spot. I have my gazebo right outside of my office that I love. I also have a spot by the fire pit, so the more I was looking at this, even though it was super cute, just didn't seem like the best way to utilize this. Plus, I couldn't get the puppy in there. She's scared of so many things. So as much as I tried to coax her in, the most I could get was her front paws, which was kind of funny. So I kept trying. She would look at it and then decide, nope, this isn't for me. So even with me being in there for a long time and playing with toys, she was just disinterested. So instead, what I decided to do was look at the spaces that I currently have. Now, my office is working great for me. And by the way, that little storage unit I made out of the foam core is still holding up perfectly. You guys, I keep putting a ton of weight on there, and it's totally holding up. So if you've been waiting to see if you should make one or not, make one. I'm so happy with that. So I don't need any more storage in my office. I'm really happy with it. Oh, and by the way, I am so behind in friend mail. I apologize profusely. I'm going to be getting on top of this. So if you're wondering why you haven't heard back from me, it's because I just got behind. So I apologize, but I will get to that. The storage that I have for all of my holiday stuff is also working. It's up, it's out of the way, and it's completely broken down by zones. So I'm not going to worry about that very much. Now, where I am losing focus is my woodworking space, because I keep finding all of this lumber. I find things on the side of the road that I bring home, and I don't have a spot to put it. So guess what happens? It gets laid on my surface areas, and it completely overwhelms my area. Since I'm not doing organizing with clients as much as I was previously, I have decided to make that she shed a workspace. So I am going to be using it for all of my organizing supplies for when I'm working with clients. So this whole rack that I created, even though it's great, is going to go out of this space and into that storage shed so that I can use my workspace more efficiently. So the first thing we had to do was get everything out. So one by one, I started emptying that storage rack and just bringing it outside. Once everything was out, I went ahead and got the storage rack. So something that's important to note for these sheds is the bottom is a molded plastic. So even though it's a smooth surface on the top, on the bottom, it's just got support pieces underneath it, which means that if you put something super heavy in there, it could theoretically poke through the floor. So be mindful of what you're putting in there. So since this storage rack just has small 1-inch feet, something I'm doing is placing wooden blocks that will distribute the weight to make sure that it stays safe. This will also make it easier to level out. So now I can bring the rack in and place it on those wooden blocks. This is really going to help to make sure that nothing goes through, no matter how much weight I put on here. Once I have it in and I'm happy with it being leveled, I'm going to adjust the front feet so that that whole rack is actually leaning back slightly. If you do have the ability to anchor it, it certainly does make it safer. But if that is not an option, by raising the front feet or putting shims under it, it will tilt it back and keep it much safer for you. Now it was time to start bringing my things in one at a time, and this is where I'm going to play Tetris, because when I organized this initially, I had a lot more supplies. So I've pared down some of the things, so this is how you see me playing with spaces, because I want to make sure everything is easy to pull out. This only took me about 30 minutes to do, which was surprising given how much was on this rack, but now all of my organizing supplies are in this shed. This gave me a place to put my furniture mover as well as the dolly. I use this a lot when I'm moving things around. What I was happy about with this space, this wasn't planned, it just happened to fit there, and the wheel perfectly fits in between the end of my storage rack and the door. So even if I open it, that is not going to move, and the bottom part of the dolly fits perfectly on top of the rack. So this creates a really safe place for this to be. I've got all of the brackets that I use for installing shelves, all of my containers that I use for clients, even the stair stepper ones I don't like. I still have clients that request them. So my supplies are all neatly organized. There's my favorite shoe boxes and organizers, and of course the storage bags that I use so often. Now with the back wall, I have the ability to add in hooks because there's holes for this to expand and retract. So don't be afraid of putting hooks in so that you can use this backspace for all types of lightweight storage. When the doors are closed, it just looks like a cute little house in the middle of my yard. And my new supervisor is still in training, but is making sure that I'm doing an efficient job. With that rack out of my garage, I was able to create a storage spot for all of my wood. I didn't show making this because I wanted to use things that I had on hand, and I know not everybody has these things on hand. My specific need was I wanted a bin that I could just throw wood in, but I wanted to be able to easily access it. So I kept thinking, and what I came up with was using some of the brackets I have for making shelves. I had a couple of shelves left over from some stainless steel shelving units, and I had some pegboard left over. So here's what I made. It might not be the prettiest thing, but this works perfectly for me to have access to my wood, my storage for my cords that I use so often, and bungee cords. So I attached a couple of the brackets to the wall, and I zip tied the shelves that I wasn't using to the front of it. This makes for super strong, sturdy storage. And I attached the pegboard to the front to keep those two shelves in line together. But this also gave me storage at the front for all of those loose things. All I did was zip tie the pegboard to the shelves so that it won't slide around, but this is great storage space and I can easily remove it when I want to take this apart. Now down here, I took one of those Dollar Tree shelves. I turned it upside down and used this to hold all of those wooden doors that I collect. I've mentioned this before. I'll go to the Home Depot or any place where they're selling cabinet doors and ask if they have samples they're getting rid of. Since they're always changing out the samples, they're usually very happy to give these away because it keeps them from going into a landfill. Every once in a while I'll have them sell them to me, but I've only had them charge me $1 a piece, and these make amazing blanks for craft projects. I am so happy that I have one spot now. This freed up all of those loose pieces of wood and supplies that I had that were lying around and kept falling over because I had them just stacked up. So now my workbench is open again. I don't have to worry about anything cluttering up the area, and actually having that big storage rack out of there opens up the space so much. And since Yzma's coming in right now, I want to show you what she's walking through. I'd use those magnetic closures that you can put over a back door that stays open before to keep flies out. I think these are pretty terrific, but I found some that go over a garage. Now they have different sizes. They have one that's for a 2-car garage, but the opening's right in the middle. And since my garage is zoned out so that half of it, the front part, is my office that I'm in right now, and the other side of it goes into my laundry area, work area, and storage area. So I got 2 single-car magnetic screens, and now I'm able to keep the flies and the little bugs out of my space, as well as the leaves and debris that keeps blowing in. So here's how it works. All you have to do is push the little magnetic thing open, and the weight of the magnets closes it right back up. They have Velcro that adheres to the outside, but I also used some tacks they included just to make sure it stays on. So this single car garage opens into my work area, and it just, again, closes right back up no matter who or what walks through it. And on the other side, I have the second one with the opening going into my workspace. And I just let it overlap in those areas between, but I can still move that out of the way. It also has some hanging clips so I can roll up the cover and have it completely open if I ever need to. And a bonus that I wasn't expecting is it's keeping it less dusty because it's not, that dust and debris from outside isn't blowing in through the screen. So that is the best money I've spent on my garage space so far. So if you're interested in one of those, I've got it in my Amazon store in the description below. So check those out. I hope you enjoyed my crazy journey of going from she shed to just plain old storage, but using your space efficiently. Sometimes we have these fun ideas of what we want it to look like, but the reality of using it efficiently actually makes for a better use. So in this case, even though it would have been a cute little wine and coffee bar, it was better served being overflow storage for my organizing supplies so that I can free up this space, which becomes where I spend most of my time. I want to say thank you to my patrons. They are helping me get closer and closer to my goal of getting an RV so that I can start driving around the United States, meeting you and helping you get organized. So if you are interested in helping, that information for my Patreon is down in the description below. I appreciate you watching so much. Please make sure you've got the 15th marked. That's when my collaboration with the Posh Paper Lady is coming out. So make sure you have that subscription button clicked so that you get notified when we post that. I will see you guys in just a few days. Bye. Oh, Yzma, get down. Do you have to go potty? What are you doing? Hi, baby. Oh, hi, baby. Look at you. Hi. Hi, baby. It's the first time she's jumped up to see me. Hi.